Welcome to LinesToGo installation videos. Today we will be replacing brake lines on a Suburban 2500 using LinesToGo part number BLC-184-SS. While this particular installation is being performed on a Suburban 2500, this set of lines will also fit the following makes and models as shown on your screen now. LinesToGo lines are made using original equipment end forms and fittings that are CNC bent for an easy and precise installation. We have also upgraded to stainless steel braided Teflon hoses for rust protection and to prevent surface fouling. These have an unlimited shelf life and anti-static PTFE liner. This set of LinesToGo lines are made using 304L stainless steel for rust resistance that exceeds OEM standards. Tech tip: disconnect the battery before working on a vehicle to reduce the risk of shorting out the battery on tools or lines. LinesToGo lines are made with a sectional design for easier installation. We also use color-coded unions on our sectioned lines. Just match the colors at the connections. Make sure to depressurize the fuel system before starting the installation. Tools required: 13mm, 15mm, and 22mm sockets and ratchet, 5/16 of an inch, 10mm, 13mm, and 14mm wrenches, flat blade screwdriver, cutting pliers, LinesToGo disconnect tool part number 5230-01 or 3133-01, drain pan, jack and jack stands. The level of difficulty for this installation is considered to be medium. To depressurize the fuel system, locate the fuel pump fuse using your owner's manual and remove it. Start the vehicle and wait for the engine to stall. Make sure to replace the fuse once completed. Use a 5/16 wrench to disconnect the negative battery terminal. Use a 14mm wrench to remove the two threaded fittings from the master cylinder. Raise and support the vehicle and remove all four wheels using a 22mm socket. At the front of the vehicle, remove the plastic push clips that secure the front inner fenders. Remove both front inner fenders from the vehicle. Underneath the vehicle, use a 14mm wrench to remove the 5-threaded fittings from the ABS module. Remove the plastic clips along the frame that secure the brake lines. Remove the primary and secondary brake lines from the vehicle. Use a 14mm wrench to remove the threaded fitting from the top of the left front flex hose. Remove the left front brake line from the plastic clips. Remove the left front brake line from the vehicle. Next, remove the right front brake line from the plastic clips along the driver's side frame rail. Use a pair of cutting pliers to cut the line above the left front flex hose. Remove the rear section of the right front brake line from the vehicle. Next, use a 14mm wrench to remove the threaded fitting from the top of the right front flex hose. Use a 15mm socket to remove the 5 bolts that secure the front plastic lower cover and remove it from the vehicle. Remove the right front brake line from the plastic clips along the front cross member. Remove the final section of the right front brake line from the vehicle. Next, we will need to remove the fuel tank from the vehicle to access the rear brake line. At the rear of the front fuel tank, use a flat blade screwdriver or socket to loosen the 2 clamps that secure the large hoses. Disconnect both large hoses from the rear of the front fuel tank. Place a support underneath the fuel tank and use a 15mm socket to remove the bolts that secure the 2 fuel tank straps. Remove the fuel tank straps from the vehicle. Between the fuel tank and drive shaft, remove the large vapor tube from the 2 clips on the top of the fuel tank. Start to lower the fuel tank until you can access the connections at the top of the tank. At the front of the fuel tank, disconnect the vapor line quick connect fitting by depressing the 2 plastic tabs. Disconnect the 3 quick connect fittings at the sending unit using the disconnect tool, LinesToGo part number 5230-01 or 3133-01. Disconnect the electrical connector from the sending unit. Continue to lower the fuel tank and remove it from underneath the vehicle. Remove the line from the plastic clips along the frame. Use a pair of cutting pliers to cut the rear brake line in front of the body mount located above the rear of the front fuel tank. Remove the forward section of the rear brake line from the vehicle. Use a 14mm wrench to remove the threaded fitting from the top of the rear flex hose. Remove the line from the plastic clip located beside the body mount and remove the rear section of the rear brake line from the vehicle. At the rear axle, use a 13mm socket to remove the bolts that secure the rear axle lines and remove the metal brackets from the lines. Use a 14mm wrench to remove both threaded fittings from the rear flex hose union. Use a 14mm wrench to remove the threaded fitting from the left rear flex hose and remove the left rear axle line from the vehicle. Use a 14mm wrench to remove the threaded fitting from the right rear flex hose and remove the right rear axle line from the vehicle. To begin the installation of your new LinesToGo stainless steel brake lines, start by installing the right rear axle line labeled 06B into position. Start one fitting into the right rear flex hose and the other fitting into the rear flex hose union. Secure the line into the clips at the rear axle. Tighten the fittings in the right rear flex hose and the rear flex hose union using a 14mm wrench. Next, install the left rear LinesToGo axle line labeled 06A into position. Start one fitting into the left rear flex hose and the other fitting into the rear flex hose union. Tighten both fittings using a 14mm wrench. Replace the metal clips removed earlier and secure them using a 13mm socket. Next, install the rearmost section of the rear LinesToGo brake line labeled 05B into position. Start the rear fitting into the top of the rear flex hose. Next, install the front section of the rear brake line labeled 05A into position. Start the front threaded fitting into the top outboard port in the ABS module by hand. Connect the 2 sections of line using the supplied union noting the LinesToGo color-coded connection. Secure the line into the plastic clips along the frame. Tighten the fittings in the ABS module and the rear flex hose using a 14mm wrench. Tighten the LinesToGo union using a 13mm and a 14mm wrench. Next, at the left front wheel well, install the first section of the right front LinesToGo brake line labeled 04A into position. Start the rear fitting into the top central port in the ABS module by hand. Secure the line into the plastic clips along the frame. Next, install the final section of the right front LinesToGo brake line labeled 04B into position. Secure the line into the plastic clips along the crossmember. Start one fitting into the top of the right front flex hose. Connect the 2 sections of line together using the supplied union noting the LinesToGo color-coded connection. Tighten the fitting in the right front flex hose and the ABS module using a 14mm wrench. Tighten the LinesToGo union using a 13mm and a 14mm wrench. Next, install the left front LinesToGo brake line labeled 03 into position. Start the rear threaded fitting into the top inboard port in the ABS module by hand. Start the other fitting into the top of the left front flex hose. Secure the line into the plastic clips. Tighten both fittings using a 14mm wrench. Next, install the secondary LinesToGo brake line labeled 02 into position. Start the rear fitting into the bottom outboard port in the ABS module by hand. Start the other fitting into the front port in the master cylinder by hand. Tighten both fittings using a 14mm wrench. Next, install the primary LinesToGo brake line labeled 01 into position. Start the rear fitting into the bottom inboard port in the ABS module by hand. Start the other fitting into the rear port in the master cylinder. Tighten both fittings using a 14mm wrench. Replace the plastic clips that secure the lines at the frame. Bleed all four wheels using a 10mm wrench, making sure to keep the master cylinder reservoir topped up with fluid. Replace both front inner fenders and secure them using the plastic push clips removed earlier. Replace the plastic front lower cover and secure it using a 15mm socket. Replace the fuel tank underneath the vehicle and begin to raise it into position. Once the tank is high enough, connect the 3 lines at the sending unit. First, connect the 5/16 return line to the rightmost connection at the sending unit. Then the 3/8 supply line from the rear fuel tank to the central connection. Finally, the supply line to the engine to the outermost connection. Connect the electrical connection at the sending unit. At the front of the fuel tank, connect the vapor line to the plastic connection. Continue to raise the tank into position. Secure the large vapor line into the plastic clips on the fuel tank. Replace the fuel tank straps and secure them using a 15mm socket. Replace the 2 large tubes at the rear of the fuel tank and secure them using a flat blade screwdriver or socket. Replace all 4 wheels and torque to your manufacturer's recommended torque specification using a 22mm socket. Connect the negative battery terminal and secure it using a 5/16 inch wrench. This concludes the installation of stainless steel brake lines on a Suburban 2500 using LinesToGo part number BLC-184-SS. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or would like to purchase the lines you saw today, please call us at 1-855-781-5992. Email us at info@linestogo.com or check out our website link below. Don't forget to take advantage of our free next day shipping. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below, and we will see you in our next video.